Hey all, Daniel here. We have a great new way for you to reach out to us here at We Watch TV. If you take a look down in the show notes of the podcast, you'll notice a link that says text us a question or comment. The link will open the messaging app on your phone, and from there you can send a text message to us, your favorite variety TV podcast hosts. So if we say something you like or don't like about your favorite show, click that link and educate us on your opinion. We love hearing them, even if they're wrong, and we will make sure to shout you out on our next episode or answer your burning questions. So make sure and check that out down in the show notes. And now, enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 67. Spring is here, and with spring comes our raccoons. They're back.
Aren't they kind of year-round, though?
Well, they take the winter off, it seems. I don't know. I haven't had problems with them until the last couple weeks. They started snooping around a few weeks ago, and this week they have formally begun their assault on my trash cans. They go out and dig through it every night. Even the one, I only have one trash can left with a lid because I need new trash cans. They finally cracked the lid on that one too, so they're into that one as well. It's a mess. So I got to go out every day and basically rebag our trash.
I think this is like a neighborhood problem too, because one of our neighbors, he built a trap that wouldn't harm the raccoon.
Yep.
But he was
But he
trapping them and then releasing them in the wild. It's like the Pawnee raccoons that they talk about on Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and I knew this wasn't the same one that had just wandered back because for a long time they could not figure out how to get into the trash can that has the lid on it. But they finally figured it out.
They have gourmet taste too, because didn't they ignore all of our leftover vegetables, but
they don't want
Ghirardelli chocolate. They like those.
They don't want vegetables. They will dig through an entire bag just to get a tiny little morsel of a Ghirardelli chocolate that you didn't eat.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing.
York
I found out
peppermint patties.
Yeah, York peppermint patties. I also found out today, I couldn't figure out what was in the trash today because I've been putting all of that stuff in our compost bin.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been really trying not to throw food away.
So I was out walking Marvin, and we were out near the tree line, and I saw the what they must have been after, because they always carry that the farthest away. And it was an empty bottle of Italian dressing that they had ripped the top off of, and just you could see the tongue marks where they had been inside the bottle trying to lick out the remnants of the Italian dressing.
I wonder what'll happen when I finish my cough suppressant, which is a liquid, and we throw that bottle away. Will we have some? That might drug them up a little bit, though.
Maybe. Who knows? Obviously, and you've pointed this out to me, the solution to this problem is new trash cans.
Yes.
With real lids.
Yes.
And I agree. The only
one
problem,
does have a real lid, though, but didn't they have figured out
Well, they
how
all
to
had
open
lids
them?
at one point. Actually, most of the lids are gone because of the trashmen, the people that pick up the trash, not the animals.
But haven't they raccoons at one point? They were figuring how to unsnap our lids.
Yes, they were.
Okay, go on.
I duct taped one shut.
The solution is to get new.
The
trash
solution
cans,
is to get new trash cans, but
I've asked you to get for 4 months.
But I pose a question then: how do you throw away an old trash can?
I mean, if you marked it trash, they'd be like, well, duh.
Yeah, right? If I sit it out empty, are they going to take it?
Of all the stupid stuff they teach you in school, when is the last time you used algebra? Literally, when I was in high school, and I had to do, X equals whatever. But they don't do, life skills, how to throw away a trash can. I'm still confused about batteries. I'm really confused about, the threat. You're not supposed to put batteries in your trash. Is that correct?
That's what they say.
And then, for the longest time, this is just me being really dumb, so I'm going to let y'all in on this.
Oh, boy.
I thought, you could go to, prison if you took off your tag off your mattress. Because they would always say that. And I think the reason why they say don't remove it is so, mattress, companies, right? Can't sell you.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with you.
I was like, because it was one time I was like, oh my gosh, I was the mattress tag, flicked off. And you're like, so? And I'm like, it says, do not remove this. That's you know what, guys, I'm still on cough medicine, so my brain is a little impacted right now.
So anyways,
just like our trash.
if you know how to dispose of a trash can, let me know. And speaking of letting me know, we have an exciting and fun new way for you to contact us. We kind of announced it on Instagram last week. The company that we upload our podcast through has provided a little bit more functionality to some things. And so in the show notes of this episode, you should see a little link at the very top that says text us a question or comment. And there was probably a pre-roll ad spoken by me that kind of lets you know about that information as well. So what that does is you click that link in it on your phone, and it just goes to your text messaging app on your phone. It pre-fills the comment with a little bit of information. You type right after that, hit send, and your message will be on its way to our eyes.
Technology, man. That'll be, and then we both see it, because I feel
Then we
like
both
most
see
of
it.
you guys just message me.
Yeah.
So I always have
Yeah.
to relate
Yeah.
to Daniel.
Nobody ever lets me
Even
know.
if it's like a comment about Daniel, they're like, tell him that blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay.
So this is a really, I think, we've had some comments. We're going to read them here in a minute. We're going to read all the comments as they come through on the show. And I think this is a really good way to do it because, one, it's natural. I know you tested it out. You just click that link and it just goes right to your messages, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just like sending a text message.
And yeah, it's super easy. So if you are like the person, one of my friends from Parkersburg, who felt the need to message me and tell me that the Tortured Poets Department is a dud, you can now send that wrong, very wrong opinion to this message instead of just me. And they're like, oh, and they actually said something about you, Daniel. They're like, Daniel's just saying he likes it because of you. Do you or do you not like it?
The songs I've heard are good.
See? They're not only good, they're great, they're amazing. It's Taylor's
I'm not going to go above good.
It's Taylor's best work yet. And that's the facts. But anyway, you can text us both now to this number
And
for
if
your
you're-
incorrect Taylor comments.
If you're worried about privacy, the only information we get is a location tag from the phone number. We don't see the phone number. And so it just gives us, like, for instance, the one we got was Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, we happen to know
We think we know.
who that is. But for most of you out there, we're just going to see a town name, and it's not going to be anything we know. And also, if you want us to know who you are, say who you are. And if you don't want us to say even your location, say, hey, don't say my location, and we'll be happy to oblige you.
Tell Cersei it was me.
Speaking of those comments, we got two from the same, I'm assuming the same person.
Yes.
In Charlotte, North Carolina. You want to read the first one off since it was targeted directly at me. This is, of course, in reference to our episode last week, episode 66.
Okay, so the comment is, so when did Daniel get to be 68 years old? Distasteful sex scenes, Paramount rants, loving the onion volcano, hashtag okay boomer.
I'm just going to go ahead and first of all defend myself. I've been 68 years old since college. My nickname in college was Old Man Roush.
That is
so, I mean,
He used to talk about, like, you know, when you drive around with, like, old people, and they're like, I remember, like, every time I drive to Myrtle Beach with my parents, they'd always point out, like, the old way they would go. Daniel would point stuff out about, like, the roads and the highways and everything, too.
well, they finally put in that 4-lane, and it's so nice. You don't have to go on that 2-lane section anymore. It's safer. It's faster. It's just better.
That's true.
They followed that up with a real question, and I'll read that. Do you plan on watching the Tom Brady roast? I'd love to hear your thoughts, as well as thoughts on Netflix editing the live to remove the Kim K booing. I'm not familiar with this. I'm familiar with the roast, but what's the Kim K stuff?
So Kim Kardashian was one of the presenters at the roast. I've actually seen the clip where you can hear the booing, which Netflix allegedly, I guess they edited out, which is crazy to me. And she got, like, booed bad. And I think Kevin Hart even had to, like, I think he was there. Like, he had to, like, calm down the boos. I don't know why Netflix would edit the booing, because I believe the Kardashians, their show is now through Hulu. So I don't know what's up with that. Whatever. I mean, I think it's stupid to remove the booing. Thank you, Amy. You guys know what I mean.
I guess you know we all know where Hope stands.
We
on that.
are Taylor stands in this house.
I'm not particularly a roast fan. Now give me a beef roast. I'm all on board with a beef roast. But a roast of somebody in a comedy format, I can take it or leave it.
I think the last one we watched all the way through, I know we watched Bob Saget. May he rest in peace.
Yeah,
That was
I
like a
remember that one.
long time ago, though. I feel like I've already seen most of it on TikTok
Yeah.
because I'm the type of psycho that, like, you'll put like a clip. I watched all of Shallow Hal, the movie with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow, on TikTok because they gave me like a clip. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, and none of the
And then
clips
before
are
you
in
know it,
order.
you're watching the
Yeah,
whole movie.
none of the clips are in order, and there are always
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 TikToks in between them, but they eventually feed you basically the
And you
entire
just start
movie.
watching the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I've done that.
So I feel like I've seen all the hits. I've seen like the jokes that he gave back. I might get in there and watch it at some point. God knows Netflix, every time we put it on, it's like, do you want to watch this? Every single time we turn on Netflix, Tom Brady's face is staring right at us.
Yeah, and it's like an unusual amount. Like
Yeah.
usually Netflix, like you get in there, it's something different every time you pop in. But we've been watching Suits on Netflix, and like every time we
day.
get in there for a week, it's been like, hey, do you want to watch these comedians make fun of Tom Brady?
Have the roasts
No.
always been on Netflix? I thought they used to just be Comedy Central.
I don't know. Maybe Netflix got this one because it's Tom Brady.
I may eventually go in and watch it, but I feel like like roasts can be funny, but then sometimes, and I think that's the point of it, is that they do take things a little too far. A lot of people were saying that Tom Brady didn't take this in stride and he looked kind of grumpy. A lot of the clips I saw, he's just kind of making a face. I don't think he didn't seem like he was pouting to me. Did he seem like he was pouting to you? He just kind of seemed like he was just,
all the clips I saw were of him laughing.
Because a bunch of people were like, oh, like you could think he's so mad he's going to walk out. From my understanding, he like kind of reacted not poorly, but was like, don't say that to like a joke about like Robert Kraft. But like he was just ha about his wife and kids. So I felt like he rolled with it fine. You kind of, if you're going to be roasted, you sort of have to. It reminds me of that episode of Modern Family when like Jay wanted his birthday roast.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, do not roast me. Give me compliments instead. Thank you. Words of affirmation. I don't think you'd want to be roasted either. You're like Michael Jordan. You'd be like, and I took that personally.
I think I'd be fine being roasted as long as you didn't get up there, because you're the only person on earth that I think has the real ammo.
I'm too nice to roast somebody.
Yeah.
So do you plan to watch any of it at all?
No, I don't, and it's for a very simple reason, and I'm just going to say this, and I'm sorry, our friend from Charlotte, North Carolina, I know of which team you root, and the fact is, Tom Brady is the best quarterback that I have seen play in my lifetime. But I don't like him. I don't care for him. I never liked the Patriots, and I just don't care.
People would say that you're being a hater.
The sooner his face is just not on everything, the better.
So are you just a hater? Do you proud?
I just said he's the best quarterback that I have seen play in my lifetime.
You can admit that and still be a hater.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like him. I think there's
How
something
do you feel
about him.
Patrick Mahomes?
He has a very punchable face.
Do you
Tom
think
Brady.
Patrick Mahomes is going to be like the next? Because he's getting up there to winning.
I have no problems with Patrick Mahomes.
See, this is my thing. I've been asked this, and I think I've even said this on the podcast before. I don't hate Tom Brady. I don't love Tom Brady. I agree he's the greatest quarterback again that I've seen. But why did Tom Brady bother me personally more than Patrick Mahomes? Because my team, the Steelers, was personally affected more so by the Tom Brady reign. I think if we had not had the Patriots and stuff to deal with, I could have had some more Super Bowl wins from the Steelers. Now the Steelers are just garbage. I'm like where you are with your team, that I just don't care. So people are like, well, why don't you dislike, well, one, Mahomes, maybe eventually I might get there, but like I don't have a personal stake in it. But other than that, I mean, whatever.
Right? Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. Like the Steelers and the Patriots were good at the same time for a very long time, and the Patriots tended to get the upper hand in that, and that you have a real reason why you would not like him. Just like as a Browns fan in remission,
it's like a thorn in my
I
side.
have a real reason not to like John Elway.
Was it him that used to do the Nerf ball commercials?
Yeah.
That's all I ever think about when I think about John Elway. Did you have the Nerf ball?
Oh, everybody had the one that made the noise when you threw it. Yeah, absolutely. Who didn't? And I was not an athletic child. I'm still. Let's be honest. I'm still not that athletic. I found my niche, which is running.
Running, yeah.
In a straight line.
I have
with
seen
occasional
photos
left-hand turns
of Daniel as a child sitting on the soccer field in the middle of a soccer game.
They were just running around me.
And you just look like so bored and checked out. But other announcements that we have going on, it is officially Bridgerton week at long last. Over 2 years of waiting. We're finally getting Bridgerton back. I am thrilled. We are getting the part 1. They're doing that. I'm so sick of Netflix doing this, but that's a whole other rant. We get part 1 this Thursday, May 16th. I kept thinking it was going to be Friday, but I guess they're dropping it on Thursday. So that means I'm going to have to, even though I've read the book, they always change the show a little bit. So I'm so busy. Like, that is my Friday evening plans, is to knock this show out. And I'm just going to have to, go completely off of TikTok because I don't want to see any spoilers of any of the scenes. But this is Colin and Penelope's story. It is actually based on the 4th book in the Bridgerton series, but they have skipped ahead. I don't know why I think they're skipping Benedict's story because his is more like a Cinderella kind of type thing. So, and the way they do each book is each book's based on, a Bridgerton sibling.
I get that.
And the show is more of an ensemble cast. And Colin and Penelope have kind of been primary characters, but this trope is the whole friends to lovers, kind of like the makeover thing. Daniel sees one preview and he's like, is this the She's All That season? And I'm like, why, yes, it is. So we're finally getting that back, and then we will have to wait for part 2 in June, like everything else is coming in June.
I will say I'm not a Bridgerton fan. I might watch a little bit of you with you, but probably not a ton. But I am happy because really what this signals is the TV shows are back.
Yes.
We're going to have this coming up this week, and then another week after that. By the end of May, we are going to go on vacation, and then it's just going to be shows all the way through the summer. And so we're finally going to have some stuff to talk about. Not that the few things we've had new here in the spring haven't been good. I think we enjoyed Fallout. I think we enjoyed Percy Jackson. But it's been few and far between.
A lull, yeah. Also just announced too for June is that 90s show part 2. It's going to drop on June 27th on Netflix. And then part 3 is going to be coming in October. We know, obviously, that Red and Kitty, the actors that play them, and Bob, that was Bob Pinciotti, Donna's dad, they're going to be back. Of, the old kids, it looks like Laura Prepon, who plays Donna, is the only one going to be back. Seth Green, I think he was on some episodes of the OG series.
Yes,
he's going to be back. I assume he'll be playing the same character. Are you excited for that 90s show? I mean, I am. I thought it was fun. It's never going to be that 70s show.
It's never going to be that 70s show, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I thought the way they went about it, where it wasn't just cameo filled with old characters, but they actually had a story around the kids. By the end of the series, we actually cared about the kids.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good accomplishment, because they could have very easily just fallen into, let's have Red and Kitty making everybody laugh, and these kids are kind of a side plot, but they didn't. They followed the format of the old show. I thought it was really good. They left us with
a love triangle.
They did. If you're interested in our thoughts on season 1, I think it's our 3rd episode.
It's one of our early episodes.
We talked about season 1, so if you want to go back and check that out, I think it's the 3rd episode.
I think we just caught it that 90s show too.
Yeah, we did. It's very easy. We didn't come up with a fun and creative name for that one. So.
Leia Foreman, by the way, that's Eric and Donna's daughter, who it's kind of based on. Perfect casting. I feel like she kind of looks like both of them, but she did her homework.
Yeah,
she has
did.
Eric's mannerisms. Every time though I see the preview, we just watched the teaser and they're playing all this music, and I was like, this music's not old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how people probably felt that were older, because now we're and they made that reference in season 1. They're like, how does it feel to be like the old people now?
Yeah, exactly.
Not awesome.
Coming out on the same day as part 1 of, how are they naming this 90s show?
Part 2 and part 3. We already saw part 1.
So not seasons. Okay.
That's what it says in all
weird.
the media.
All right. So coming out on the same day as part 2 of that 90s show, the thing we'll actually be watching.
Yes, chef.
Every single episode of The Bear season 3 drops on June 27th. Stop what you're doing and watch. If you haven't watched season 1 and 2 of The Bear yet, stop what you're doing and go watch those now.
Absolutely. How excited are you that they're not? I was worried they were going to make us do the weekly release.
Yeah, I was. I'm really honestly shocked, because
Me too.
I'm pretty sure season 1 came out episodically, weekly release, and then they dropped it all on Hulu once it wrapped up. Season 2, they just dropped all on Hulu, and then it blew up.
Because when we started watching season 1, we started watching like the week that they were adding in the last
Yes.
episode. So it was like as if we got it at once. But yeah, I was really worried, especially with how like we've been in a content drought. I was worried they would stretch it. I'm really glad. I know for the podcast, it's probably nice for us when we can talk about a weekly release, but just for me personally, I hate the weekly re-release, so I'm excited to get it all at once.
We will kill that in the weekend.
Do you think we'll have another intense holiday episode?
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, we'll have something. They always have
Will
one
we see
episode.
Jamie Lee Curtis again? Because she played his mother, Carmi's mom.
I think so. I think there's some unfinished work there.
Would you have thrown the fork? This is season 2 reference, everybody. You know what? I gotta say, I would.
Yeah, I think you would have for sure. I would have probably been sitting there trying to peacemake, or like sitting there like John Mahoney's character and just completely like overwhelmed by everything that's happening. Yeah.
Will we hear Taylor Swift again? We know that Richie Cousin, he rocked out to some Taylor Swift.
That was an epic moment. The best episode of the season.
Yeah,
that was the best episode of the season.
I'm
So, I don't know.
hoping that he does not backslide. I want him to continue to have character growth.
So, and we've said this before, but I'll reiterate it. We've got The Boys season 4 coming out in June. We've got The Bear season 3. After we've seen the entirety of both of those, I feel like we may have to have a conversation about the best thing going. I'm going to assume The Boys is getting another season because they haven't made any announcements that season 4 is the end. And so this is the first time I feel like, barring I can't even remember. Barring Severance, which isn't coming anytime soon. Those two, I think The Bear is in contention for me as a potential best thing going after season 2. Now, certainly we have to see what season 3 brings.
Like I said, I don't want to see backsliding of characters.
Correct.
I want Richie to continue to grow. I feel like this is really going to be kind of Carmi's season, hopefully, because he ended on a very, very poor note.
And good news about The Bear as well. They filmed season 4 like concurrently with 3, so we're probably only waiting a year again for season 4. So excellent.
Very exciting.
Perfect. That said, it is time. We finished it. Last week we had talked about the first 3 episodes, and this week we finished Amazon Prime's Fallout show.
All right, 8-episode season. We did finish it. Season 2 is confirmed, but no date. Is season 2 going to, I believe it probably will, play off of the events of season 1, or do you think they'll do a whole other cast like they do with like the whole other place with the games?
I think they'll play off the what they set up in season 1.
They better, because they left a lot of stuff open.
They very clearly left a lot of open-ended stuff there.
So many things open. So I still don't love it, because I was like, but I like it more. It got better. Like I said, I never said that I disliked it. I was like, it was fine. I'd still say it was fine, maybe a little better than fine as we got into it. Episode 3, I thought, was better than the first 2, but really that 4th episode is where things really started to pick up for me to the point that I was wanting to finish it. And then we watched episodes 7 and 8 in the same evening.
Yeah.
And made sure to knock that out. It definitely got a lot better. It's still not my favorite type of show. I don't super love apocalyptic type shows, but I do like mysteries, and you get mystery from this. And my biggest complaint that I talked about in last week's episode of the We Watch TV podcast still stands. It was too slow in the beginning. It moved at a glacial pace to get this mystery going, whereas I feel like they were really trying to drive home the point of like what was going on. This is the situation. This is where we're at now. And it's like, you know what? I'm smart enough. I picked up on that by at least the beginning of episode 2. So I think you agreed with me on that. They went a little too slow.
They were a little too slow at the first 3 episodes on trying to They could have moved a little bit faster there, I think. But overall, I was very pleased with.
Once they got into the mystery, though, it started getting good. Because I wanted to know, like, okay, what's going on with the ghoul? Like, what's, like, his backstory? We still don't know. I still didn't get my... And he asked the question. I think that's the last line he says. Like, where the F is my family?
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm like, okay, well, what happened to his wife who ended up being evil?
Seems to be the case, yeah.
She kind of gave me low-key evil energy to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got a vibe. And then his daughter was in that very first episode when they were at that party and they were entertaining people. And like, so essentially, while we did get into the mystery more, I'm left with more questions than where I started from. Like, still, again, where's the family? How do you become a ghoul? Are ghouls like zombies in the fall?
I think they are kind of like zombies. I would assume so. I don't really know the ghoul lore, so to speak.
Well, the one character from the Brotherhood who how do we know him as?
Wow.
Hey, Superstore fans. It's Beau from Superstore. I do not remember his name on this, and he was with Maximus because he thought he was supposed to be a squire because Maximus like lied about the whole thing and was pretending to be a knight. That was a whole thing. And he like hurt his foot and took some medicine from the creepy guy.
I have a note about the creepy guy, by the way. You told me that you looked at me and you told me to write this down, so I specifically have Pete's dragon chicken inappropriate with chickens.
Yes. Okay, so this guy that the guy from the Brotherhood sees about his broken foot to get some kind of medicine calls himself like a doctor. But he's absolutely giving snake oil salesman from Pete's Dragon. Everybody that has watched the OG Pete's Dragon.
That's nobody.
You've watched it.
Only because you forced me.
I love Pete's Dragon. It's such a fun movie. Candle in the Water by Helen Reddy is an amazing song, so whatever. We love Elliot the Dragon. Anyway, there's this character in Pete's Dragon that I don't even know what the name of the character is, quite honestly.
Snake oil salesman.
I don't think that's... He calls himself something,
he has a
though.
name, yes.
And he basically is essentially a snake oil salesman. So this guy, I'm convinced that this actor who played the doctor, in air quotes, on Fallout, took his muse was that character from Pete's Dragon because wasn't giving like the exact same energy.
You pointed it out to me. I brushed it off. And then the more he was on screen, the more I was like, holy crap. Is this a deep cut Pete's Dragons reference? I don't feel like it should be because like no one except you on Earth is going to get that. But it really felt like the notes he was getting was very similar to that. And I want to step back on Pete's Dragon for a second. To remind everybody, if you're curious about this movie and you go back, you're going to find a movie that's like 10 years old or something in that realm.
Not that one.
That's not what she's talking about. She's talking about the weird one
from like the 70s.
From the 70s or the 60s, whenever that movie was made.
It's got Helen Reddy in it.
Bizarre. And if you make it past the first 5 minutes with the people in the woods, then you're better than me.
It's got Helen Reddy in it. Singer, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. It doesn't have like Mickey Rooney in it. And it's also, it has the guy that plays, he's one of like the creepy like guys that are trying to like kidnap the hill people. Yeah. Kaniki from Grease is in it as well. I don't remember his name. But yeah, like, so the guy even had the same voice inflections.
It was weird.
As the Pete's Dragon person. So he sees, anyway, the guy from the Brotherhood sees him and he takes this like elixir. And then, like, his toe does kind of move back into place.
Yeah.
But suddenly he's, like, turning into a ghoul. So do you have to take medicine to turn into a ghoul? We know that you have to take medicine to keep from going, like, losing, like, your absolute mind. Like, you can still function, like, the ghoul that we know, like, the ghoul.
Yes.
Like, he still, like, has all his memories of when he was Cooper. And he pretty much functions. He just has to take continuous medicine. But then we've seen other ghouls, I mean, that have, like, they don't really have brain function
They're basically
anymore.
zombies.
Like, spoiler alert, as you guys know, this is a spoiler podcast. At the end, we do find Lucy's mommy.
Yeah.
And she's, like, the non-functioning type of zombie. So is it like The Walking Dead where everybody has a virus and everybody, if you stay in the fallout shelters, that you'll eventually become a ghoul, or do you have to take some type of medicine? That's a question that I would like answered in season 2. Does the video game answer this question? I've never played the video game, so I don't know.
I have no idea. I haven't played enough Fallout to understand that process. So
if you have played the Fallout video games, please let us know if they reference this or if this is just something in the show.
We have an easy way for you to let us know. Just hit that little link in the show description.
I want to know what's going on because we figured out how. So we got the woman from Sex and the City. What is her name in the show? It starts with an M. Moldaver, who everybody's looking for at the end. We get some stuff that comes up about her and she's been around way since Cooper before he was the ghoul. So they tell us how she was able to look the same. She's not a ghoul. Basically, all these rich people that bought these vaults in Fallout, including Lucy's daddy, Hank, basically puts themselves in like a preservation like chamber. They look like giant things that you get at like the bank. Like through the drive-thru, but like
giant bank
human
tubes.
supersize. So they stick them in there, and then they can come out. And like the whole mystery of Fallout is that these rich people, they can like basically they can still their hands still in the cookie jar, still running the show. So that's partly answers the mystery about what happened to Vault. Was it Vault 32 or 31? I get confused.
31 is where they're all kept. Nobody's actually alive in 31. They're all in that stasis sleep. And then every now and then one of them gets woken up to go be in charge of 31 and 30 or 32 and 33.
Yes. So we figured out Betty. We've also seen her before. Can I just say too that when they did the flashback with Hank, like I literally thought I was seeing Troy McDougal from Sex and the City.
They did a really good job with the de-aging there. Yeah.
Really good. So all that has been answered. So, which begs the question: if the ghoul's wondering where his family is, obviously his daughter and him got separated because at the beginning, that first episode is where they supposedly did drop the bombs.
Yeah.
And we don't know where she is, if she's even with the mother. The mother, we find out, what was she up to, Daniel? She was like, let's just bomb everybody ourselves.
That was the implication she gave was.
What if we drop the bombs?
Yeah, what if we drop them? So that's
It's giving crazy, and he finds out all this. So that was kind of like the big mystery. So those questions were answered. The questions that are not answered: how do you become a ghoul? Where's Maudiver? We saw her kind of like she is dead, right?
She died. Yeah, she died. The Brotherhood now has control of the kind of energy thing. That was kind of the
that was kind of the head
yeah
of the one guy that they had to chop off. Like, is it called cold fusion?
Cold fusion's what they call it, yeah. And so, but Troy McDougal, he runs off.
Hank.
That's
Troy McDougal.
Hank runs off, and so he's heading what we believe. The ghoul is like, well, to figure out where my family is and to hold people accountable for all this. We need to find out who's in charge.
And Lucy goes with the ghoul.
Because Maximus is kind of out of capacity. Like, he's knocked out, and they got to go because the Brotherhood is coming down on him.
Yeah.
And she's kind of broke. Like, that last Okie Dokie. Yeah, was very broken.
I'm glad we got one more Okie Dokie.
Yeah.
There's definitely room to expand on all these stories in season 2. I have to say, her dad, like, I didn't expect to get full villain energy. I thought something was up and nefarious with him, but I thought at the end of the day he might choose his daughter. But she was just basically like, no, I don't care what you say. He's like, fine, see you later.
Yeah.
And did you get the vibe that her mom had a relationship, like romantic, with Maudiver?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because I got the same vibe. So Lucy also learns that she has, in fact, been in the outside world because that's when everything all went down. And this place is called, what is this place
Shady
called?
Sands.
It's called Shady Sands. I keep calling it Shady Pines for all my Golden Girls people. And do you think they're going to try to like rebuild this place?
Well, they'll have to build it in a different spot because it's in a giant crater in the ground where it was. So
who scares you more, the vault people, the rich people, or the Brotherhood creepy people? The Brotherhood people creep me out.
It's interesting.
Everybody has an agenda.
Yeah. The Vault people, they're certainly controlling things, but I wonder how much of their power has waned with, what's going on. Although they still apparently have the ability to drop nukes if they want to.
And then Hank's son, he figures all this out and basically like...
But he's locked in 31.
They make him go in Hank's old vault.
Yeah.
And that little boy, I call him a little boy, he was on Hannah Montana, and then he also dated Susu Heck on The Middle. But because he looks like he's still a grown-up but still looks like a child, like you were like, was he always like this young-looking? I was like, yes.
Yeah, well, and when they stand him next to that other guy in the
short,
vault.
That's what you asked. How
he looks so short.
Because he is So there's a lot of questions. I just want to say that the ghoul and I have the same energy because every time the ghoul is like sucking on those inhalers, that's been me for like the past 3 weeks.
It has been.
Because my voice is still not great. I'm still coughing a lot. I'm like, am I turning into a ghoul? What's going on? Would you still love me if I was a ghoul?
Yeah. Yes. As long as
wasn't-
you were one like the ghoul and not like Lucy's mom ghoul.
You should always.
I mean,
still love
Lucy's mom ghoul looked like if you let her off of the chair she was on, she was going to just try and tear everybody's throats open.
So,
Like a
yeah,
full-on
I'm gonna
zombie,
need some
so-
information about the ghoul lore and all of that.
Have you heard of the internet?
I have.
I bet you could go to there and find all the lore about ghouls that you ever
you
wanted,
really
and
want me to do
probably more.
a deep dive on that.
There's
I
probably
will.
some fan fiction art about ghouls too, and I don't know that you want to go that deep.
I just want to know, like, is everybody's fate destined to become a ghoul? How did the ghoul even become a ghoul?
You know what? That might be a question
Yeah.
for season 2. Which
There's
is,
a lot-
speaking of, so
You need to answer for me.
overall, what do you think? You looking forward to season 2?
I am, because I do like a mystery. I hope that when they start season 2, I would like to see a little bit of a time jump. And I hope that they can, now that they've set the mystery, we know what's going on, we know like who the main players are, that we can just kind of jump into it. I don't want the slow rollout. I want to keep going at the mystery. I want more flashbacks. I loved all the flashbacks, like with like Cooper. I would like to see more flashbacks with Hank and his wife. I would like to see some of that. Do you think Lucy and Maximus will get together?
I think if I'm writing the show and I'm reading and I'm looking at how this show went down, I don't know how much interaction those two are going to get in season 2.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to get Dark Lucy. She's going to be with the ghoul on basically a revenge plot. And I think if I think I know where the writers might be going, is they're going to take her real dark until she gets just on the edge of not being able to come back. And then she'll realize that,
everything that she thought she knew was
has been completely destroyed.
And also, I do have to say this. In our very first episode that we watched to Fallout, there was the blonde girl who now wears an eye patch and was pregnant. And I looked at you and said, I don't like this woman. I was like, she gives me like mean energy. There's something up with her. We come to find out she's one of the people too from the other vault that's sent in. And I'm like, correct. It's a vibe check, Daniel.
I get you.
But what are their excuses? Like, what's the difference between the vaults? What do they say about the mashed potatoes?
No, they're just slightly better.
They're slightly better. I love mashed potatoes.
I know you do.
I'm excited. It did improve from my initial thoughts from the first 3 episodes. So I still don't love it though. It's just never going to be like the type of show that I super duper enjoy. But I do like a good mystery. So if you like a good mystery and you're looking for something to fill the time before June bombards us with content, I would recommend you get on there and watch Fallout.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Especially, I thought that my biggest concern about the Fallout show is that the producers of all the streaming services are going to learn all the wrong things about this video game to TV adaptation. Okay, they're going because this show was made by people who cared about the games, but they didn't try and recreate the games. They put some stuff in there, but they told a story that was compelling, a story that anybody, familiar with the games or not, would care about.
Yeah.
And I feel like the wrong lessons are going to get learned, and the you know how superheroes has been like the hotness. Well, that time has passed, and now the producers are going to be like, okay, find me every video game IP we possibly can.
One with your favorite video game ever, Metroid.
We'll be very concerned that they'll screw it up.
They should just do Tetris, the series.
Good job knowing my favorite video game, by the way.
I have known you for quite some time.
Well done.
Anything else you want to say about Fallout?
No, I agree with you. Like, if you're looking for something and you have Amazon Prime, which, I mean, so many people do, give it a watch. I think it's really good.
I like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
It does give me Loki vibes.
Yeah, the music and the setting and all that stuff is from the games, and they really did a good job of keeping to that.
And I like the colors of the Vault people's outfits. Obviously, it reminds me of WVU. So, yeah, it definitely improved. So I do want to just make sure everybody knows that Yes, my opinion improved. It did pick up the pace, and I will look forward. I will be mad if they do a completely different story for season 2.
I don't think they're going to do that. I never thought never occurred to me until you said it, because you had done enough reading about the video games, I guess, to know how the video games do it, where each game is a new vault coming out.
Well, I know one took place in West Virginia and had the Mothman a few years ago.
Yeah. And so I had never thought about that. I figured, with that cast, and I want to say that before we skip on, I like the cast. I thought that all the cast members really did a good job. I know you were critical of Maximus at first.
Frowny face.
But I think his character, I
wasn't critical of the actor.
Yeah.
I was critical of the character. I found the character to be very one note in the beginning, and he always made the same facial expression. Once he got into scenes with Lucy and other people, then his character was a little more compelling. Speaking of Maximus, do you think that he put the razor blades in his friend's shoe?
I think at the end, very quickly, they kind of resolved that his friend did that on their own. But it was very, like, if you weren't paying attention, it happened very quickly. I thought it would have been more interesting if he had done that.
Yeah, in terms of actors, though, I thought they all did a very good job acting-wise. My criticism, like, if I had to have, like, a Maximus standalone episode, I think I would have been bored to tears.
You were worried about that for a second. And I agree.
Was.
I don't think he alone, and it's not the actor, his character alone couldn't support an episode by himself. But together with Lucy, he definitely... Goosey. All right. Well, that is Fallout for you. We are happy to have watched it. And now we also have finished another season, a very short season. Ghosts, season 3 has wrapped up.
Yes. Ghosts airs on CBS, but you can watch it on Daniel's favorite app, Paramount Plus, if it works. And like Daniel said, this season was pretty short. It was impacted, I believe, mostly by the writer's strike. And then the main actress, which they did not write that in the show, but the main actress who plays Samantha, she is pregnant. So I bet that probably played a little part. They did all the classic tropes of having at one point they had her in a giant coat.
Yeah.
They always had her holding stuff.
Standing behind the desk at the hotel.
Yeah.
All that
and then
stuff.
the actress who played Flower was pregnant and did have a baby, but they just wrote Flower off by making us think that she got sucked off.
Yes.
If you know, you know. But it turns out she was just in the bottom of a well, hanging out. So she's back. I feel like Ghost was almost a blink and you miss it season.
Mm-hmm.
It was so short. There were some good, funny episodes. I really liked the episode with this stripper for Isaac's bachelor party, where Isaac learns that dinosaurs were real. And now Isaac is all about dinosaurs.
That was excellent. I loved that whole storyline through that and how it played into the finale as well. I really enjoyed all that stuff.
I definitely think the show was too short this season. Like, I wanted more.
Yeah.
Like, in the past, we've kind of had a little bit more, like, characters have been fleshed out a little bit more. We did learn some sad stuff about how Hetty, like, died, though. That was a bummer.
that was heavy.
That was heavy for a comedy. We got more of the Cholera Pit Ghost. We did get a thruple briefly with the Cholera Pit Ghost.
I hated that.
Thor,
I'm glad they ended it very quickly.
Yeah. I do like it when the Cholera Pit Ghosts make appearances, though. But
yes, but in short doses.
Yes.
They
had a bone to pick, though, because Isaac and his fiancée didn't want them at the wedding. And then what happens with Isaac and the wedding? What happened there?
They didn't get married. Isaac just he wasn't ready.
You just said that so, like, deadpan. They didn't get married. It just seemed like Isaac has been discovered. Like, he's just discovered his sexuality. Yeah. He's just discovered that dinosaurs are real. I mean, what a revelation. And I think he kind of realized in that moment there's still, even though he's dead and a ghost, there's so much that he doesn't know about this world. And I felt like his fiancée was kind of like whatever about it. I think they left it a chance that they could get back together.
I think there's a chance, yeah.
Possibly.
Assuming he gets out of the dirt, because what the actual stinger to the season is that they a couple episodes before they had come up with a story where they'd been stuck in a hole. So they were trying to rescue Flower from the well, and apparently they can just walk through the dirt. But the problem is you can't see where you're going, and so you just get lost really easily. So a couple of them many years before had been stuck in a pit.
Is it like a pilgrim?
Yeah, and they were in there with a pilgrim, and as they were trying to get back to the house, Isaac accidentally let go of the pilgrim, and she'd just been wandering the dirt for 200 years or whatever it's been. Well, she finally found her way back to the house
because
because
of
Flower.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like Isaac. So at the last thing we see is her grabbing him through the wall and pulling him back
And
into
that's
the
where the
dirt.
cholera pit ghosts come in because they have a bone to pick because they weren't invited to the wedding. So they're like, "Hey, Isaac, come down here." And then that was kind of the sizzler. So I'm sure the other ghosts might think that Isaac got sucked off.
It's possible, yeah.
Very possible. I also thought in terms of the wedding, we had, again, another funny scene with Pete's ex-wife, Carol, because they're like, well, who, does anybody else want to get married? And they're like, well, who would get married on, like, the same day
Yeah.
as, like, what would have been Isaac's wedding? And then Carol, she married one of the other, like, wartime ghosts that lives out in the shed.
Yep. One of the British soldiers.
They did briefly touch on some more stuff with Pete this season. He can travel, but the more he travels, he doesn't get sucked off, but like he
starts
fades
to disappear.
away,
Yeah.
which is
The
odd.
longer he's off the property, he starts to fade away. So he can travel off the property, but he just can't go too far.
Which is very weird. Because
Yeah.
at first I thought they were saying like that he was finding himself at peace, but that's not it. So
No.
he comes back. Do you think they briefly touched on this? He has had a crush on Alberta since I think like season 1. And then when he had started to remove his arrow from his neck, she like suddenly looked like she might be into him. But then they just kind of dropped that.
They dropped that. Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be come into play again?
I don't know.
In the next season.
I really don't. I don't know what they. It was such a short season with so many moments like that where they pick up a thing and then drop it really quickly because they didn't have time to go any further. So who knows what they'll pick up.
And
next
we know that
season.
Sass can communicate with Jay.
Yeah.
Because he can dream walk or whatever.
My main comment about the show is it's about time for that shtick to end, where Jay can't talk to them, because it's getting a little exhausting to me for every scene to be Jay walks in and Samantha has to explain to him what's going on and back and forth.
Well, the wedding was funny though, because when Isaac was like, no, like Jay goes, what? But he was actually reacting to something on his phone. But like his reaction seemed like he was reacting to the wedding. I would like Jade maybe to get like electrocuted and not die and be able to see the ghost. But I think they're going to keep that shtick for.
I do
long
think
as
they're
possible.
going to. Yeah, I think they are.
And we've also watched another comedy, Abbott Elementary, but we have not seen the most recent episode of that. So it has a few more episodes, a shorter season, not quite as short as Ghosts, but it will be wrapping up later this month. So tune in to possibly next week or week after next. I can't remember when Abbott's going to end, and we'll talk about Abbott Elementary and our thoughts on that season 3 as a whole in a future episode.
All right. And with that out of the way, let's talk about Suits. So we have finished season 3. We've started season 4. I have a lot of notes.
You have a lot of notes?
Written down on Suits. So,
my main note is Mike Ross sucks.
Okay. Do you want to start with that?
Oh my gosh. So Mike is one of the, like, he and Harvey are like the main characters. Like the two mains. Because I feel say Lewis is a side character, Rachel's a side character. So Mike has gotten progressively more and more annoying to me as the seasons have gone on. Now, before I watched Suits, I always read stuff. They're like, oh, how people thought Rachel was annoying. I disagree. In fact, I think that Rachel, like, and Mike together can be a little annoying, but I wish Rachel would give Mike some more crap because he does not always treat her the best. And he's one of those characters that he almost reminds me, in a way, of Brandon Walsh from Beverly Hills 90210. So overly self-righteous and pompous, yet he is half the time the problem and the issue. And this is when I say that, which I don't think you've come up with your name for your vampire lawyer show yet.
Oh, shoot, I didn't.
Why Mike is more Stephanie, because Stefan would do the same crap on the Vampire Diaries, and we all liked, most of us, if you had the right opinion, ended up preferring Damon, who I'd say Harvey's more Damon-like, who you think he's like the bad one, but he's really is a very good person and is trying. And just Mike is just, he's gotten so much more annoying, and it's not getting better with season 4. So we finished season 3. Spoiler alert for a show that's, decades old at this point. Well, at least a decade old. Mike does the right thing, takes a job, as an investment banker. So he's kind of out of it. Like there's not the thing, because, Mike's not a real lawyer. We don't have that hanging over our head. But now he's off in season 4, and he's like a client of Pearson Spector. And so he and Harvey are kind of at odds. And I feel like Mike just really wants to beat Harvey. I don't know. At first, it was kind of funny, the beginning of season 4, because it seemed like they were enjoying being at odds. But now it's getting a little personal. And I know Harvey is not perfect. He's taken some things personal as well. But I feel like ultimately Harvey's done that more in a way to try to protect Mike. I don't know. Mike just gets on my nerves. What is your show notes? Because I feel like it's kind of in line.
Well, I'll tee off and just say I don't like Mike. I haven't liked Mike as a character probably a lot longer than you have.
I liked him in season 1.
I don't like him. If I understand how this show evolves, eventually he may not be on every episode, and I won't mind that.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. I will not mind that.
We're ready for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to start dating.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm ready for that to happen so that I don't have to look at Mike. And I understand it's odd because when I first started watching the show, you could not have imagined this show without the Harvey-Mike dynamic.
You said that.
Yeah, I told you that. But the more he has just become this awful character that I just cannot stand, the more I'm like, you know what I could get on board with? Lewis and Harvey going at each other all the time. Harvey and Jessica's, the drama between them.
Donna.
Harvey and Donna.
I even like which obviously she won't be on the show because we know for a fact that Meghan Markle's not on every seasons because she marries Prince Harry in real life. So that actress will not be making any other appearances. I do believe that the Mike Ross character does stay, but maybe not in a full-time capacity, just from little nuggets that I possibly know about the show without spoiling it too much for myself. But I like Rachel and Harvey have barely had any scenes this entire series until about season 4.
Yeah.
I like their scenes together, not like romantically at all. Of course not. It's just Mike is just that type of character that, and I know it's part of the show, like they want him to be the moral compass, but at what but he's not.
I just don't think he is.
It's coming across as like he's still screwing up, and then it's just it's just like it makes me so mad. I'm like using hand gestures right now to communicate how irritated I am. But Harvey, I feel like does care for Mike very much, and Mike just sometimes like he never wants to give Harvey the benefit of the doubt, which really ticks me off. And even where at the end of season 3, the whole conundrum with Mike realizes, that like he's hit his ceiling.
Yeah.
He's not a real lawyer. He's not going to get in the magazines. He'll never get his name on the door that's so important to these people. And I'm just like, you just now came to that conclusion, you dummy. And Harvey basically told him at one point, you either need to go to like a small town.
Yeah.
Practice law there or get another job. And then when he is presented with this opportunity, like everybody's like, Rachel's like, oh, absolutely, you should take it. Because if I'm Rachel, I feel like this whole weight is hanging over my relationship, especially since my daddy is a lawyer himself. And even Harvey, who doesn't want to see Mike go selfishly, because I think considers Mike as almost like a little brother, a close friend, as basically like, yeah, if you want to move up, you got to take this job. The only one that I would say that was kind of giving Mike guff about it was Donna.
Yeah.
And that is probably the one time Donna's annoyed me in the entire series, because Donna, her main flaw is she is so loyal to Harvey, almost to a fault. Because anybody that knows, like, and it's better for everybody at that law firm, because they would all get in trouble.
Everybody that knows is on the line for that, which is basically
would all get in trouble if
the
Mike
leadership
was
of the firm, which means the firm goes down.
Now Lewis never actually found out about Mike like we thought was going to happen.
Will.
I think he will. They kind of put that off on the back burner for a little bit. But yeah, I agree. Mike is just an annoying character, whereas Lewis, who we thought was going to annoy us most, Lewis is my favorite character now. I'm going to throw it out there.
So do you want to be more annoyed? Because my next note that I have is simply Michael Phelps.
Yes. So Daniel and I are watching an episode of season 3, and I said, that's Michael Phelps. And Daniel pauses the TV, turns to me, gives me like a dressing down about it. He's like, you are just sick right now, because I have obviously, I've been very tired because I have not felt very good. And he's like, that's not Michael Phelps. Why would Michael Phelps be on the show? And I said, well, they were talking about Beijing, like the Olympics. And that's so Michael Phelps, and the guy looks like Michael Phelps. And you're like, just because someone mentions Beijing doesn't mean they're talking about Michael Phelps. And go on, Daniel. Was that or was that not Michael Phelps?
It's somebody that looked an awful lot like Michael
Phelps.
It
was Michael Phelps playing himself as Michael Phelps. I didn't have that on my bingo card. Do you think Michael Jordan will ever show up on the show?
Absolutely
They
not.
always make, but they got Michael Phelps.
Okay.
Suits is the show where all the actors from every show I've seen in my life show up on, and they even made like a meta reference with Dana Scott, as we know, Scotty, Harvey's girlfriend for season 3-ish.
Yeah, it seems like they just kind of threw that together.
Like she
I don't know.
decides to like join the firm, and like Harvey pays her buy-in. I felt like this was Harvey being like Frasier, where Frasier wanted to commit to commitment and just like double down on this relationship. It was never going to work out. But she plays a teacher on Mad Men that Don Draper obviously hooked up with, and they made like a Mad Men reference on Suits because they were like drinking in the morning, and they're like, oh, well, they do it on Mad Men. And it was a scene she was in. Do you think that was intentional? Because I feel like that was probably around the same time
probably.
period
I'm sure
that
it was. I'm sure it
actress
was.
did Mad Men. She's going to go in a time machine soon, though, for Timeless.
Speaking of girlfriends, what about Lewis's girlfriend? I had that as a note as well.
That actress shows up on every single show I've ever seen in my life. Every single show. She's in Frasier as a young person. I think she was in an episode of Sister Sister, a show I used to watch in the 90s. Let's see here. She's in Lucifer, kind of a big-time character on Lucifer. She's in The Hangover. She's the one that was Stu dated in the first movie that did a, what is it? Somebody on a waiter on a Carnival cruise ship.
He was a bartender.
And that little girl up there, that's somebody's daughter. But anyway, she showed up on Goosebumps, the show on Disney Plus. I watched her. That actress, didn't she show up like in everything?
You've named quite a few things.
I feel like she was in something else we recently saw. But I actually wanted her and Lewis to work it out and have lots of cats.
Yeah, I agree.
Give up Harvard for him.
Do you think she's gone
No.
forever? I don't think she is.
I don't think she is either. I think, though, because she obviously didn't leave her job at Harvard,
Yeah.
even though now they're breaking the we only hire from Harvard rule for Rachel.
Yeah.
They bent that a little bit. I'm sure they'll still have a working relationship. Basically, the thing that stopped them was Lewis wanted kids, and that's like kind of a hard no for her. But that brings us to our season 4. Do you think she'll be in the same scene as a Metadel from Lucifer? Because those two have an angel human baby together on the show called Lucifer. It's like we're getting the Suits. It's got all the people from all the shows.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll be in a scene together. I do, there was a part of me, and I don't think they're going to do it, that was really hoping that character and Lewis would end up actually becoming friends.
Me too.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Stupid Jessica.
But I kind of was. I'm waiting. I don't know. I'm waiting for Lewis to actually get recognition and people and not just be a heel to everybody all the time. Like I'm really waiting for him to actually get the opportunity for people to respect him and to him have his kind of like real big moment where he saves everybody.
Too.
And I think it's going to happen. I think they are leading us there, but I'm getting a little by the point we're at in season 4, I'm starting to get fatigued of it to a certain extent.
I'm feeling frustrated like Lewis.
I'm ready for him to have his moment. I'm hoping that with this SEC storyline they're working on now, that's in his alley. That's where we're going with that.
I do think that Harvey, while he gets irritated by Lewis, I do think that Harvey genuinely does like Lewis. Like, when he was going to be Lewis's best man, like, Harvey seemed excited.
Yeah.
I just think right now Harvey's got a lot going on with Mike. He's taking all that stuff personally. And, yeah, Harvey's definitely not... When we say we don't like Mike, that doesn't mean we think Harvey's perfect.
No.
Harvey's definitely done some stuff that's out of line, too. It just Harvey's more, like, upfront about... Harvey doesn't try to act like he's the moral compass.
Correct.
Ultimately, the best end game for Mike would be to go be a small town lawyer and do like a lot of pro bono cases and like work. And he's not cut out for this world, whether it's an investment banker, being a fake lawyer, what have you. So back to Lewis. When we first started talking about Suits, you and I were both like, ugh. And I say he's my favorite character on the show.
Oh, he's
now.
the best character on the show.
So you agree?
Yeah.
He's your favorite.
Yeah.
As well. And we want happy. And I want it to be Pearson Spector lit.
Yes, exactly.
You just got lit up.
And Katrina. Is that
his associate?
She brought him a card with that on it, and I think that was winking to things that are going to happen in the future. But yeah, they've got a lot of.
He just wants his due. He wants respect. That's all he wants. And I love how he keeps calling Harvey his friend.
His best friend.
His best friend. It's just so cute. I love all the Donna Lewis scenes as well. Because you can tell that, like, while they mess with him, they do genuinely care about him. Because he did have a health scare at the end of season 3. and they were all concerned about Lewis.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I have one more Suits question before we move on for you.
Oh gosh, I know where you're going with
I
this.
brought it up last week about an observation I made about Harvey Specter, the actor that plays him, and his smile, referencing the Joker from the Batman series. Now, let me ask you, after that, you watched an episode. What do you think?
Where's Rachel? Yes, he's got the dimples that if you put the makeup on him, he could be very Joker-like. I cannot unsee it now. And then, of course, so now we've got, we have Rachel, we have Harvey, but like Joker, not Harvey Dent.
I mean, there's lots of iterations of the Joker,
I feel like Lewis gives penguin energy.
Jack Nicholson's Joker was kind of the gangster, and Heath Ledger's Joker was kind of just the maniac.
Jared Leto, hot topic.
Yeah, and so I think Harvey Specter Joker could be like the lawyer Joker. I think that would be a really interesting
Lewis,
direction to go.
Lewis give penguin energy?
Oh, for sure. Without a question.
Mike Ross, Harvey Dent. Mike Ross.
I think in this situation, Mike has to be Batman, which makes him even more hateable.
I feel like Jessica's more Batman than Mike.
No.
How do you feel about her? She kind of went dark on season 3, but I think they're pulling her back to be a little bit more likable in season 4.
They are. I think they realized they made her a little unlikable in season 3, and so they're trying to move that back. They're doing an okay job right now, but we'll see if they get into any more shady dealings. So.
Just come on, Prince Harry. Come in and take these characters off the show.
Come on. All right. Oh, gosh. This next bullet point really is a bummer. You've been rewatching Grey's Anatomy for some reason.
Seriously.
Late at night, volume heavy, while I'm trying to sleep.
Seriously. Yes, because I said last week my goal originally was to get caught up because I thought it would be the final season. But this shows the Grey's Anatomy is like the ghoul of television. It will not die. It just keeps going. But suddenly I found myself starting season 5 and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how sick have I been if I went through season 4 so fast? Because I'm not going at the same pace as I did when I rewatched Friday Night Lights. I've been going at a slower pace.
Yeah.
But then it reminded me, that was when season 4 was back when we had our first kind of writer strike. Well, not the first ever, but the last time we had a writer strike before this time. And that was a shortened season. And that's why I went through season 4 so quickly. I feel like season 5, at the end of season 5 is where it started to go down the hill. Because that's the end of the magic era. So
yeah, we'll see how long this.
We'll see how long I can stick it out.
You could stick it out before you're like, ugh, get out of here, and just skip to the last season, whenever that is. It could be, they'll get to season 30 before they quit, for all we know.
Yeah, it's
they're
the
just
ghoul of television.
Going.
It just doesn't die. It keeps going. But speaking of old shows that are good, would you like to make our next announcement, Daniel?
Absolutely. So as you all know, we finished up rewatching the OC a couple weeks ago, and we put up a poll and asked you all what your opinion was about four candidates for our next rewatch, and we are proud and happy. I'm happy in particular to announce that the show that won the poll is New Girl.
New Girl. Who's that girl?
I think for me, this will be my third time through the series.
I believe so. Me too, as well. We watched it live.
Yeah, we watched it live
when it aired, and then we've since done a couple different rewatches. I think New Girl is one of the best. I call it again. Oh my gosh, here we go. Is it a sitcom or not? We'll call it a comedy, half-hour comedy type genres. I think it's one of the best of the modern day ones. I think it was the one about the same time Big Bang Theory. I think it's leaps and bounds above Big Bang Theory, but it was one that I feel like it's gotten more popular since it hit streaming services than when it was actually on.
I agree.
So I am excited. Brooklyn Nine-Nine came in second. That's something I would definitely be willing to revisit in the future, but I'm looking forward to getting New Girl started.
What came in last?
Gossip Girl.
Take that, Hannah.
Gossip Girl came in last. Although I did have one of our listeners reach out to us on our We Watch TV podcast Instagram and asked if we would be doing Gossip Girl next because they do a Gossip Girl podcast, a rewatch podcast themselves. So I said, never say never. I would always be willing to rate the fashion of Gossip Girl episodes. XOXO Gossip Girl. New Girl, what are you most excited about for our New Girl rewatch? I'm just excited to see Winnie the Bish.
Winnie the Bish.
Frank Sinatra.
He's the
best character.
He is the best. He starts slow.
He won't be in the pilot.
No, he starts slow, but every time you see him, he's just a new petal of that onion is unwrapped, and he's a great character.
And it's so good. To the fact that when I see the actor, like, who actually showed up in Suits, all I think about is Winston.
What's the name of the game? True American.
True American.
I love True American episodes.
Me too. I want somebody to come up with an actual rule book.
Yeah. And I couldn't, at my age, I couldn't play that game because it's a drinking game. And then honestly, like, they don't miss on their holiday episodes.
No, their holiday episodes are so good. And last Thanksgiving, we predominantly featured Friends. I feel like we could totally do one with the New Girl Thanksgiving episodes.
Yeah, they'll be fresh in the mind. I don't think that New Girl Rewatch is going to take as long as the OC did, even though it has more seasons.
And we've got all this content coming up because we both love New Girl so much.
There's less. The episodes are shorter, so we'll be able to watch more per evening once we get there. And I don't think there's at least one season that's not as long as the rest of them too. So I think we'll be able to get through it. And there's the one with the
Megan Fox season because Zoe was pregnant.
So I think we'll be able to get through that. I did, before we get out of here, I did want to mention one thing. The last week, we fell into a routine of watching an episode of Suits and then an episode of Fallout.
We don't like to watch Fallout while we eat dinner. And it's not a dinner show.
No, that finger monster.
Human fingers.
I felt like we stepped back in time to when you just watch TV like that, and it was actually kind of nice to like have the breakup of the different shows as they went.
There's Boomer Daniel with his programs. I agree, though. It was nice. It was like we had the Suit set, then we watched that, then I might kick back with some Grays.
So I'm thinking hopefully here in June when we got all these shows, we'll watch, a couple of, probably an episode or two of New Girl, and then whatever the big thing is on that night, The Boys. What else is on?
June 27th, though, we'll just be watching The Bear.
That's The Bear. Yeah, that's just
that whole weekend will be just Yes Chef. We'll be screaming at each other in our kitchen. It's always fun to pretend like you're a chef.
Ooh, I have a question for our audience who's made it this far into the podcast to round back around to our new text messaging service that you can use to contact us. Okay, we have been saying we're going to watch Game of Thrones, House of Dragon forever. Mm-hmm. Somebody, please tell me it's worth it, because every time we start trying to think about it, I just cannot pull myself back into the Game of Thrones world right now. And I realize that season 2 is coming. Is it in June?
I think so.
Okay. And so I know that there are people, like, it's hard because we do a podcast where we talk about television that's out, and I feel like I don't want to miss it, but at the same time, I'm having a really hard time getting myself into it. I feel like I already kind of
know how it ends, too, because I've watched so many edits with Matt Smith's character on the show.
So if you are somebody who is passionate about Game of Thrones,
make a play for it.
Or
tell us
House
why
of
we
Dragon,
should watch it.
Tell us why we should watch it, and we'll talk, and we'll read your comments next week and talk about it. And if we don't get any, then we assume everybody hates it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.